So, I don't know how I want to start. I don't know how I want to start off this video. So, right now, it is I don't want to say it's pretty late, but it's nighttime, dark time, whatever you want to call it around this point right now. It's about almost 9:30 right now as I'm recording this. Still Wednesday as I'm recording and all that. And I wanted to make this video because I was just sitting looking around. I actually was just finishing up a video that I recorded earlier today, and I was going to upload it for tomorrow, which would be Thursday. Probably would be the day that you guys are watching this video, but that video won't come out until now Friday, since I'm now doing this video. But the reason why I'm doing this video is because I was seeing stuff going around with Lane Kiffin, and a lot of stuff has been coming out, and people saying stuff and all this other stuff interesting and all this other and everything else. Just a lot of things happening with Lane Kiffin, people coming out and saying stuff and all this other and everything else. Ever since Lane Kiffin was announced as the next head coach for LSU, I mean, even way before he was as well. But there was one thing that kind of caught my eye and that I wanted to do, and the reason why I wanted to do this video, and it's probably because of the title of this video, is because of an article, one of the articles I will go over in this video. One article reading, "You're a liar. Cam Newton explains why Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss to join LSU," which is sort of the title of this video. And I read through the article before I did this video, and it's an interesting article. And I wanted to kind of give you my thoughts on this whole liar situation. But there's another article that I actually want to talk about first before we get into this. And it's mostly talking about the athletic director of Ole Miss defending and almost back up players' dispute of Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU. So that is one thing we'll be talking about, plus talking about the whole liar situation with Cam Newton. So that, of course, are the two things we'll be talking about here. Of course, this video probably you guys are watching on Thursday. I had plans for another video to come out today. I'm saying today because it will be Thursday when this video comes out. That video will come out Friday. So hopefully you guys are subscribed to the channel and have notifications on so you guys can be looking forward for that video. But if you guys are watching this video, hopefully you guys end up enjoying this video. Again, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell here for the BrewCrew channel. Also want to say this, if you can see him a little bit, it's my dog on my bed because it's around bedtime for me and my dog. So this is Draper. If you guys don't remember, this is probably only his probably second video ever being in the background of my bed in my videos. But it's just the timing of when to do this video, so I wanted to go ahead and do it. But enough talking about my dog and talking about everything else. Let's just go ahead and get right into these articles. Just go ahead and get right into it. The first article we're going to go over is titled by Fox Sports, from Fox Sports News, by Chance Martin. I believe is the guy who wrote this article. The title of the article is called "Ole Miss Lane Kiffin Divorce Takes Another Dramatic Turn as Athletic Director Seemingly Backs Players Dispute." Carter, who I believe is the athletic director, I think it's Keith Carter, clarified when Kiffin was told he wouldn't coach any Ole Miss playoff games. So it kind of just goes on to say, this mostly, of course, the athletic director Keith Carter, he had several claims he disputed several claims of the former head coach of now the former head coach of Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, and his departure to Ole Miss. To Ole Miss, and he on Wednesday, which is technically tonight or yesterday as of this video probably coming out, he delivered his first public comments on everything that went down this past weekend, and of course with Lane Kiffin going to LSU and not staying with Ole Miss anymore. And one of his shocking points centered on when Kiffin was told he would be barred from coaching an Ole Miss game in the playoffs. In the playoffs, he, quote, said this to Super Talk Mississippi, was the interview he took, said, quote, "A lot of things publicly that I am not sure are totally accurate." So, don't know what he means by there, if he's meaning It is accurate that it is true that Lane Kiffin was barred to not coach for the Ole Miss, because I want to get more into that after this article and maybe before the end of this video about that, and mostly kind of just circling forward. He then actually said this to the host. He then went on to actually say this. He said, quote, "It's very clear that coaching in the postseason was not going to be an option for Coach Kiffin several weeks ago." That's another thing I did actually see when I was looking at like some articles and all that. That Ole Miss even knew that Lane Kiffin was not going to coach the playoff game when, of course, mostly meaning probably several weeks ago when the LSU job was open. And Lane Kiffin was one of the coaches being eyed for the new job. And Ole Miss knew from the start, actually knew that Lane Kiffin would not coach a playoff game. Which I sort of have a problem with, because it's literally like you don't want him to coach for this team, because either way, if you did have him coach for the team, he was still going to leave. That's just what's confusing to me, of like, why did he could have just still coached, see how y'all went in the playoffs, and then go coach for LSU. But that didn't happen. And then, of course, in the farewell message that Kiffin wrote, he did actually say that I believe, this thing it shows, he was asked, or he did ask to complete his historic 6-year run and lead Ole Miss through the playoffs. But Keith Carter, the athletic director in Ole Miss, full on denied it. Like, full on denied it, and of course here we are now, him the LSU coach. So Sanders, who is one of these offensive linemen, who is one of the players that Keith Carter is potentially like backing up. I think it's what was his name again? Bryson, I think is his name. Yeah, Bryson was like the first name, I think is how you say it. Bryson Sanders, an offensive lineman, he quickly disputed Kiffin's account, quoting his post, "Despite the team asking me to keep coaching, I think everyone that was in that room would disagree." Sanders posted, "It should be noted that Sanders misquoted Kiffin, though." So there is that. But then another player, or other Ole Miss players, including another fellow offensive lineman, Jaden Williams, quoted on a response to Sanders' post, quoted, "Let him know, every single person." Now, of course, I don't know what that means, but of course, these players were not really great. We're not really happy to see this head coach leave, especially in a big moment, big opportunity of them going to the playoffs. So all in all, and then of course the final thing it just says he took the job Saturday evening, and Ole Miss ended up promoting the defensive coordinator Pete Golding to head coach. I believe interim head coach or full-time head coach. I don't know for sure. I've heard interim, I heard full-time, I don't know. No one knows, I believe, at this point. So really at this point, it's just a scenario where it's just like, I feel like there could have been a chance Ole Miss could have just kept him and let him see how he does with Ole Miss and then still go to LSU. But that's just apparently the world of college football that we're in right now, with these coaches. And that is definitely, I mean, it's just sort of aggravating, because it's just like, why, like, are you, like, it mostly just shows, like, hearing that it was Ole Miss who denied Lane Kiffin the chance for him to finish his career with Ole Miss before moving on to LSU. They were just full on upset and mad, and they didn't want him to be the coach there anymore. I don't know if it is Lane Kiffin, if it is Ole Miss, I don't know. Just wanted to go over that article, but now it's time to really get into a good bit. I know that first part kind of took a good while, but now it's time to get into the one article that this video is titled, and probably you guys wanted to see if you guys are here at this point in the video. And that, of course, is Cam Newton on his podcast, 4th and 1. Earlier today, earlier today here on Wednesday as I'm recording it, or yesterday if you guys are watching it on Wednesday, he claimed that he claimed and said that Lane Kiffin was a liar, and explained and actually gave his reason and explained why he thinks he joined LSU and left Ole Miss. So a few days ago, mostly of course, the first stuff says, of course, with him becoming the new head coach and all that, and everything else as well. Okay. Sorry about the pauses and all that. I think it was just because of how much I talked before. But anyway, sorry about the cuts and the pauses and all that. It's just a lot that I was talking about earlier. But to continue on with this, he, of course, made the deal. He elected to go take a $91 million contract in favor of a program that is currently in the cusp of a playoff run. Figures of the media, college athletes, and even NFL stars have cried foul at the situation, and among them now is the former face of the Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton. Now, of course, before that, there has been a lot of people like Paul Feinbaum, Stephen A. Smith, and either other critics and also former players talking about this situation with Lane Kiffin. With Lane Kiffin, of course, some people not agreeing with him leaving, some people saying it's definitely a typical Lane Kiffin thing, is what Paul Feinbaum said, and all that. But this is just more interesting to see of what Cam Newton said, So this is after he did an interview press conference, one of his latest press conferences with LSU. One of the key things he bluntly said, "I would never make a decision based on money." Mostly meaning he made the decision for family and all that. I think is what I remember seeing or something like that. For a better fit for his family, and wanting to do it just not wanting to do it for the money, even though yes, it's a better program and all that for the money. But according to Cam Newton, however, that's an egregious claim for Kiffin to make. In referring to LSU's newest play caller as, do not know what this name is that he ends up calling Lane Kiffin. I don't know how to say his last name, but anyway. He made it absolutely clear that he isn't buying what Lane Kiffin is saying. This is what he said on his latest episode of his podcast, 4th and 1. First thing he would say, quote, "You're a liar. It ain't about the money. It's always about the money." That is what he said. In highlighting the fact that the SEC's revenue distribution system includes bonuses for teams that appear or succeed in meaningful events such as playoffs, Newton suggests that Kiffin's decision is actually the result of loopholes in the college football system. Continuing before I actually have my opinions on this stuff, LSU, he actually says this, quote, "LSU is part of the tier 1 of the SEC. Is part of the tier 1 of the SEC. That's what Lane knows. It's going to take way more to perform at Ole Miss than it is at LSU. The reports say that annually, LSU is giving Lane Kiffin the opportunity to spend $25 million a year to acquire talent and to keep talent." And then he says whatever Lane Kiffin wants to, if Lane Kiffin wants to get them SEC bonuses, he knows he's got to go somewhere that he can get him the talent that he needs. Mostly he's saying he mostly saying this, that he is definitely doing it for the money. Now I just want to say this. I don't know if he is actually doing it for the money or if he's actually doing what he said that he did. No shock, it's for the money. Every freaking coaching job in college football, especially for a college in the SEC, a college like LSU, they're probably going to want to go there for the money. Maybe that's not every LSU coach. Maybe that's not even for Lane Kiffin. But you sort of agree of what he says, but how do you know that he's actually lying just because you don't believe that? I can understand you want to have your own opinion and your own thought of it because of this situation and all that. But how do you know if that is true? We don't know if that's true. You don't know that's true. Especially you, as a former player, you don't know that because you've not been a coach. Lane Kiffin is actually a coach. So if Lane Kiffin's actually deciding to do this not for the money, which he is getting paid a good bit, and yes, I agree with one thing, not just saying this as LSU, despite, yes, the success this year, LSU is still one of the top tier programs in the SEC over Ole Miss. No matter what the record is, and no matter what, if Ole Miss has an historic season and they make the playoffs, they don't have the national championships. They don't have the bigger stadium that can hold 100,000 fans. Their stadium can only hold 60,000, which is still a lot, but you guys had your first sort of big, huge, sold-out game in a while this past season against, against Florida. I was about to say Kentucky, against Florida. There's no difference in it, so definitely agree with that. But also, I sort of don't agree because I honestly don't believe it is for the money. If it is, there's no shock it is. If he does it for the money, it's the only question is, what's he going to do with that money? Is he going to use that money for what you say to get the bonuses to these players to try to keep some of these players and also bring players in to play for this team? And I think he will, and I would believe, because I don't know for sure. I mean, you don't know with Lane Kiffin. If you want to hear me talk more about Lane Kiffin, this whole situation of him becoming the new head coach, go watch my previous video when I finally talked about him becoming the previous head coach and talked about my worry and all that other stuff. But not to really make this video too much longer, because I don't really want to take too much time editing this. I don't know how long I'll be editing this, so or not how long editing, I should say. I don't know, how much editing I am going to do in this video, but still don't want to make this video too much longer. But again, I just don't understand, or just be my question is, how do you know if he's a liar? Just because you think, how do you know that he's a liar? Because you're explaining because he is doing it for the money. Okay, you can take it as a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but here's my thing, I don't know if I want to listen to what you say because you're only a former player, because here's my thing, you're a former player, you're not a former coach, you've never been a coach, you've been a player. Lane Kiffin has been a head coach for years, and he's had his fair share of controversy. Lane Kiffin has been a head coach for years and years, and wherever he's gone, he's probably done it for the money. I don't know if he did it for the money at Ole Miss or if he did it to go try to revitalize them. We don't know if it is because everybody has different opinions on why he left and is coming to LSU. You're saying it's because of the money, and also SEC, and also LSU still being a top tier team in the SEC. Other people are even saying that as well. LSU is better than Ole Miss, program wise, stadium wise, probably talent wise as well, to bring talent in from the state of Louisiana. Other people are saying maybe it is not because of that. Probably because he would get a better opportunity with LSU despite, yes, being in the playoffs with Ole Miss. But of course we talked about that scenario because Ole Miss for one just said, no, you're not going to coach for these playoff games or playoff game, how many games you end up playing in the playoffs. So we don't know how we would know that. And back to Cam Newton, how would you know that? You're not a former coach. You're a former player. Again, Lane Kiffin's been a head coach for so many years, so long. Has even been a head coach when you were in the NFL. Has probably been a head coach more for as long as you were a starting quarterback in the NFL. No offense, you're an amazing player. Loved watching you. Hated watching you as well because you played for the Carolina Panthers. But he has been a head coach longer than you were a starting quarterback in the NFL, buddy. That's all I really got to say right there. And a good way to potentially end it off. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. This is just how I feel. This is my best way of thinking, my best way to just say how I am thinking and how I'm feeling about this whole situation, and especially from this one article of this stuff from Cam Newton. This is probably a long video. I didn't really want this video to be long, but again, probably won't really do too much editing with it but anyway, again, let me know in the comments down below you guys' thoughts. I will leave a link to both of these articles if you guys want to check out these articles. Both the links will be in the description below of the video. Will be in the description below. So if you guys want to go check them out definitely go check them out and all that. I'm tired right now because it's now already almost 9:45 right now at night as I'm recording this. So I'm tired. I'm gonna end off this video. Again, let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments. If you guys agree with me, disagree with me. If you guys do, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm just giving you guys mine and my thoughts on what Cam Newton had to say about everything. Some stuff I agree. Some stuff I'm like, how do you know? Are you sure? How would you even know that? How would anybody even know that? How does anybody know anything? Especially in this situation. But I'm not going to go too much into that because I'm already over 20 minutes of this video right now. And I'm tired. And I want to just... and all this other stuff. So, anyway, guys, if you guys made it this far into the video, thank you guys so much for watching and making this far in the video. If you guys ended up enjoying this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell for future upcoming videos here on the BrewCrew channel. Again, let me know your guys' opinions about this video, about the flaws that I had, and everything else. As well with this whole situation with Lane Kiffin, especially a few days after him becoming the new head coach. Let me know in the comments down below. Again, go do everything else I said in the beginning. Hope you guys have an amazing, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.